Here's a Volkswagen Passat which is, well, something quite different, even if it doesn't look it at first glance. Lower, sleeker and more upmarket, the Passat CC is what its makers call a comfort coupe rather than any kind of cabriolet. Oh, and it has 4 doors and a decent boot too. So who exactly would buy a Volkswagen Passat CC? Well, quite a few Americans, I think, which is just as well, for that's this car's target market. But in the UK? Well, I think it might do better than a lot of people think. Mercedes proved with their CLS that there's a market. People are prepared to pay a premium for a sleeker 4-door coupe style version of a standard saloon model. And that car sells in the £35,000 to £45,000 bracket. So you can see why Volkswagen think the same trick might work in the £20,000 to £30,000 bracket with a smarter, slipperier version of their Passat. With this car's CC badge, you'd be forgiven for thinking it to be some kind of cabriolet. In fact, the CC moniker stands for Comfort Coupe, a reference to the fact that Volkswagen must sell this car to people beyond those who simply want a classier version of their Mondeo-sized mid-ranger. No, it must also snaffle sales from more conventional coupes, like for example those based on the Peugeot 407 or the Renault Laguna, aiming to offer those potential buyers the same coupe style, but with the added practicality of 2 extra doors. I have to be honest and say that to drive, there aren't too many differences between this car and a standard Passat. Mind you, given that it rides on exactly the same chassis and uses a subset of the ordinary Passat's engine range, then I suppose the scope for modification was inevitably rather slim. Volkswagen say that the car sits 50mm closer to the road, lowering the centre of gravity, and that the driver sits 15mm lower in the seat, again supposedly imbuing him or her with a greater sense of connectedness to the road surface. Now, even if you don't accept that, it's certainly no bad thing for this car to duplicate the handling characteristics of a model as impressive as the standard Passat. In our road test of the ordinary model, we commented that it had outstanding refinement, excellent ride quality, and it was a kind of car that you could drive in all day and get out feeling fresh. Now, that's exactly the kind of driving experience that you want a luxury coupe to be able to deliver. Go for the more expensive versions and you get the adaptive chassis control ACC system that Volkswagen introduced on their Scirocco coupe. It's got 3 modes, comfort, normal and sport, and it not only softens up or firms up the dampers to change the ride, but it also changes the characteristics of the electromechanical steering system to offer a more comfort orientated or a more sport orientated feel. Now, the design of the Passat CC is fascinating. I harbour a suspicion that despite almost every body panel being different from that of the standard saloon version, most people won't even realise that this is a different model. You have to put the 2 cars back to back, the CC with the standard Passat, to really appreciate what Volkswagen has done with this car. In fact, the unique steel body of the CC is 31mm longer than that of the ordinary Passat, the difference almost entirely being made up by changes to the front and rear overhangs. Now, you might think that this would offer up a bonus in terms of rear luggage space. Now, in actual fact, the sloping rear deck reduces luggage capacity by about 40 litres. Mind you, at 532 litres all in, it's still more than you get in a traditional coupe. Now, as with the Mercedes CLS and most ordinary coupe models, there are only 2 back seats, which might put off some family buyers. Overall, it's undoubtedly a tidy piece of design work. I particularly like these frameless doors. Now, some might wish it looked a bit more extreme, but Volkswagen argue that target buyers are looking for something more discreet than willfully gaudy, and they could well be right. It's certainly a shape that grows on you, the sculpted headlamps being a particularly nice styling touch. Get your colour and wheel choices right, and this is a car that can look twice its price, an effect you could never achieve with the standard Passat. If you're looking for a direction on prices, well, they lie in the £21,000 to £32,000 bracket, and that represents a premium of around £3,000 over a standard Passat. Now, competitors in the same ballpark would be coupe versions of cars like Renault's Laguna or Peugeot's 407, and no one ever complained about paying a premium for them over their standard saloon counterparts. Of course, the image-conscious CC model doesn't use any of its humbler stablemates' lesser engines. Petrol buyers get an entry-level 1.8 litre TSI 160 PS unit, or there's a 200 PS 2 litre engine from the same stable, or the flagship petrol unit is a 3.6 litre V6 with 258 pounds-foot of torque, so it's a lot of grunt and pulling power, marshalled via a DSG semi-automatic twin-clutch gearbox and 4-motion four-wheel drive. Now, if you want a diesel, many company buyers will be swayed by a 140 PS TDI that makes a lot of sense, and there's a 170 PS TDI from the same diesel family. Now, equipment levels are as strong as you'd have a right to expect for this kind of money. All variants get 17-inch alloy wheels, sports suspension, 2-zone climatronic air conditioning, this rather nice touchscreen CD stereo system with a 6-disc auto changer, a multi-function leather trimmed steering wheel, 6-way adjustable electric sports seats, 6 airbags and ESP stability control. Diesel is the fuel of choice for the company car customers who make up the majority of Passat CC sales. Although the flagship 3.6 litre V6 version might snaffle a few from company directors who can't quite stretch to a Mercedes CLS. Now, that car's CO2 and economy figures aren't too bad considering the weight of the all-wheel drive mechanicals it offers and the kind of performance that it gives. But a better all-round bet will probably be the entry-level two-wheel drive 140 PS TDI diesel. Now, that car should give you 153 grams per kilometre of CO2 and return 50 miles to the gallon on a regular basis, making it a good all-round choice from a cost perspective. As business users who've done their time scouring car data sheets for the most cost-effective company car will be well aware, Passats cost a little more, model for model, than the usual medium-range fare. But they do, however, hang on to their value with a bit more tenacity than the Peugeot 407s and Renault Lagunas of this world, so it's swings and roundabouts to some extent. Servicing repair costs should hold no nasty surprises. Are we looking here at a very clever marketing move on Volkswagen's part, or a brand that's gone a niche too far? Now, only time will tell, but the automotive landscape would certainly be a greyer place without cars like this. You'll probably either love it, or you'll completely fail to see the point. One of my road test colleagues commented that never in the field of automotive manufacturing had so much been changed to so little effect for the benefit of so few. Now, in contrast, I can see why quite a few people might like the idea of a relatively affordable coupe with a prestigious feel, great build quality and 4 doors. I can see why they might want something that feels a bit unique. And I can see why Volkswagen might want to give coupe customers a car that thinks outside the box.